I hope that everyone is having a happy holidays. I had a really great Thanksgiving. It was very awesome. So I want to talk all about tabs today. Last year, I really tried out Carrie Harling's video where she teaches you how to make your own tabs. And she just basically used, I think, Post-its or Avery labels, which I am a big fan of also. But I don't know, it didn't work out for me. I didn't really care for the way they looked, and it took some work, and I'm not about that life, so I decided to show you what I'm going to be using in 2019. First, I wanted to talk a little bit about my history with tabs. So this is a 2017 Hobonichi Weeks. This is from the year that I was a 5-time Hobonichi user. This is the only one out of the 5 that I never used completely. So they come with, or you can purchase rather, these tabs. And I don't know if they're called wave tabs or not. They come in a pack of 12. They have like this kind of wave motion to them. They're really cool, except they're, I don't know, it's really hard to see. I can pull them up and I don't know how well you can see them right there. It's really hard to see the numbers that are written on the tabs. So I basically count and I'm just like 1, 2, 3, 4, April. Here's the other issue besides being able to see them. It's being able to flip through your Hobonichi Weeks. Now these have a very like bendy plastic material to them, so it's not too bad, but it's a little harder to thumb through, which I like to do. If you look at the portion in the back that doesn't have any tabs, it's so simple to thumb through and find things. So these naturally have these little boxes right here so you can see what months you're on. So thumbing through to me is just the easiest way to find things. However, this makes it a little bit more difficult. So if I ever bought another Hobonichi Weeks, I would definitely not buy the tabs. And as far as I know, I haven't been on the website this year. These are the only tabs that they have available, and they also can be used in the A6 as well as the A5. So that's something to be thinking about when purchasing tabs. This year I purchased a bunch of tabs from Planner Press because I was going to have a fancy kind of, posh boxy fix, and I wanted it to be kind of like matchy-matchy. And then I ran into the struggles of possibly not going fancy with my planning, and then I thought, what am I going to do with these? Now, what's nice about these is they're not like date specific, and they're not meant for any specific planner. You can just use them however you wish, so I can keep them for whenever I find something to do with them. So I saw a video, and I will link it down below if I can find it, because of course it was like one of those midnight watches where I was half asleep. But what I did was I used Post-its, and you can use any size and any color. These ones are like the longer ones that you would probably use on files. But basically what she did was she took one of these and she cut off the colored portion that's non-stick, and she stuck these guys on there, and I thought, oh my gosh, that is evil genius, because then they became removable, which I will show you in one of my planners when we get to that portion. So if you're willing to pay a little bit more and wait, and I mean, I waited a long time, like a month before these were sent out, so be aware of that in case you want to order some. But they do come in different sizes and different colors. Also be aware that these guys, if you look at them, you think, oh look, there's 12 of them. There's not. There's actually only 6, because these pill up. These ones are the translucent ones that have like, they're like outlined. So they pull up like this and then they fold over. So technically each one of these sheets only has 6. So make sure that you're aware of that. I think this one had 18. So the next place I bought some tabs from were the Traveler's Notebook Company, and they have these really cool sets. There's 6 different sheets. There's a bunch of stickers in here. I did show a video on what's all in here if you want to check that out. But they come with 1, 2, 3 sets, and it'll stay smaller at the bottom because these portions down here are meant for your passport size, but they work perfectly fine in anything you choose to use them with. So you technically get 3 for the price of 1. So you get 3, 1, 2, 3 tabs in this sticker set, which is awesome. And I purchased them because they are honestly my favorite. And you can get these from Jet Pens, Tokyo Pen Shop. I think Goulet Pens carries these, and of course always Amazon. They're about $11, so shop around because sometimes Amazon gets crazy and wants to charge you a ridiculous amount. You can purchase these. Here's the brand name up here. These are from Amazon. I didn't love these as much because they didn't stick as well, and I lost like the clear sheet that they went in, and so they kept falling off and driving me crazy. But they are really nice and big for people who have issues with seeing things and they need like really nice sized tabs. Plus they already have the writing on it, so you don't have to worry about your handwriting if you don't like that. What I love about all of these tabs is they're pretty functional. So even if you didn't have a planner and you didn't want to go with a planner this year, you can take any of these tabs you wish, and you can go ahead and take a blank insert like this, or a Leuchtturm 1917, and go ahead and tab them out. The great thing about this is you can choose which months have more pages than other months in case you need that. So that's really nice also. I decided to go with clear tabs that I purchased from Planner Press, and that's because of this cover that is a maroon. I didn't think it went well with any of these. I think they sort of clashed, so I went with clear to kind of, you know, make it work a little better. So you can see that they come in the tiny and the large, and you just like put the tab down and fold it over, and then just, you know, stick it to the next page, which is awesome. These ones actually come with little to-dos in them. So you can just stick them right on there. It's hard for you probably to see, but I can see this just says must do. And this just keeps my tab for my tracking. And then I have this one that is for my monthly. I have this set up because I don't know if I'm gonna do a plan with me. I don't know if I can do the sitting for that, but I'm gonna figure it out. And then you can see how I mixed it up with just a regular Post-it. I just used the white one, and I used one of the stickers from here that said today. And that's what makes these things removable, which is pretty awesome. So I'm very excited that I can go ahead and just peel them off and move them wherever I need them, whenever I need them. So as the months progress, I can just switch them. In the back here, these are the clear tabs. I can't remember what they're called. I want to say they're like holographic or something like that. That's what makes them like this opal color. Maybe they're opal or pearl, I'm not sure, but they have a bunch of different styles on there. You just have to check and make sure you know what size these are. So they're very tiny, and they're close to the size of the Passport ones by the Traveler's Notebook Company. You can see here that at October I ran out of space, so I put November, December, and a to-do on the side. And since I had already mentioned that I don't really care for having tabs on the side because I like to flip through, especially here in this Jibun Techo, because they also have tabs on the side like that. I can still do that and have tabs up here. So that is really nice. Now the Jibun Techo, I will try to insert a picture. They actually have tabs that are created specifically for this planner. Now, if you didn't know, there are two different styles of Jibun Techo. This is the more monochromed biz version, and there's a colorful one. So the tabs are very colorful, and I didn't want that. I wanted it to be very monochrome, so I didn't really want those tabs. And in the colorful version of the planner, the tabs are color coded so they match with the actual physical tabs that you put on here, and they're supposed to be pretty easy to put on. But again, they're really big. They look a lot bigger than these guys, so I didn't want to have to deal with that trying to thumb through on the side here. So I was like, I think I'm gonna pass. So definitely remember that for here I felt like the tabs would suit me best to put them on the weekly portions to divide out the months rather than the monthly portion that's only 12. I felt like putting a removable tab for each month would work best, if that makes sense. I'm sorry, I'm probably not explaining that. It's super early here. Then we're going to move on to the Hobonichi. So this is the Hobonichi A5 cousin Avec. So in here I have the Traveler's Company tabs, and they are so awesome. The first thing I should say is that if you're not aware, the Hobonichi has these colored tabs also. So it's really easy for you to thumb through and find, you know, April, May, and June. I'm not sure, but I think that the Jibun Techo tabs should fit nicely in here because the Jibun Techo A5 Slim, which this is the same height as the Hobonichi A5, so you could probably, you know, divide them up nicely in here. I don't know that the colors will match up, because these also have colors, but it's something that you can go ahead and try out. Again, they were a little bit big for me, and I like to be able to thumb through and find things. So in here, I decided to go ahead and go with, let me pull this one out so you can see a little bit better. I went with a Traveler's Notebook Company tabs, and I put them in here. So what I did was, for the weekly, because I actually had only the one pack, and then I bought a second pack when I bought all of my Jibun Techo supplies. So what I did was I went through and I put all of the months on the weeks. So if you didn't know how the Hobonichi works, first you get all of the months, which I felt like I didn't need to tab because it's easier for me to just like flip through. There's only 12 of them. Technically there's probably a couple more because they give you, well, at least 1 month extra of the year for forward planning while you wait for your next planner. And then they give you the weeklies, and then they give you your dailies. So on the side here, you can see where the days are tabbed out in months, and each month gets its own color, like that. The weeklies you can see here on the side. However, like they're all the same color, so it's really hard to tell the difference between the months. And plus you can't like thumb through it this way because it's backwards, so you have to use your left. And so I preferred to put the tabs on the weeklies. And then when I got the second pack, you can see here that I used the green ones. I decided, since they have two sides to them, they have the numbers on this side and then they have the actual words on the other. I put the word portion on the weekly, so you can find it that way. And then on the second part, which are my dailies, I used the number portion. So you could find October, November, December. Now, another thing to be thinking about, and I never thought about it until my niece said something. It just depends on your preference. My preference actually is to go ahead and tab the exact day. So by that, I mean that this is on exactly September. Some people would put this on the page behind it so that they could pull like this, you know what I mean? Or the page in front of it rather. So when they pull the tab, it would be exactly on October. I actually put it on the day so that I can just like go like this right in front and pull up the pages. So, I mean, it just depends on your preference again. That's also something to be thinking about when you're putting on your tabs. And I really liked how I could use the same color, and you could just tell the difference by the way I put them, the words on one and then the numbers on the other. So another thing to be thinking about when you do your tabs is how you're going to put them on your insert. So I bought these originally with the intent to use them in the actual Traveler's Company inserts for 2019, which I did. So this is in my monthly. And again, I already mentioned how I'm not a fan of putting them on the side because I can't thumb through things. But since there's only 12 months in here and then there's like I think there's like 10 blank pages in the back here, it's just easier to go ahead and be like January, February. It's like fine for me to just have the tabs for each month because there's nothing in between the months to have to find. Now in the center, I went ahead and left this gap. And the reasoning for that is I was worried about my elastic. Because you have things on the side here, I didn't want to have to worry about my elastic hitting in this little like sliver every single time and having to find it because that was going to drive me crazy. So I left a big space and I divided the months in 6 months and 6 months so I could feel a little bit better about my life. And then I have this huge space for my elastic to go ahead and hit and not have to worry about bending my tabs or what have you. So that is really, really nice. In here, because this is a Foxy Fix Spice Leather, I don't have to worry about it because the tabs are like way down in there, but I switch out my Traveler's Notebook inserts into other Traveler's Notebooks all of the time, especially if I decide to use this brand of TN. There's not a lot of space, and I know that there'll become an issue of me having to find this little space here to put to rest rather my little elastic. So I wanted to make sure to do that. So be thinking about that. Now, if you don't want to deal with the space because it can trigger some people, you can do what I did here. So these are like the Avec version of the Travelers Company inserts. So these have 6 months in one and 6 months in the other, and these are the weeklies, and I did a review and showed you all about these guys. I put them on the top so I didn't have to worry about it. And again, there are months in between here, right? So here's March and here's April, and you just have to like thumb through to find the weeks in between, right? And so I just like to thumb, and having them on the top allows me to do that. So this is something that I could have done also with this guy. I could have been 6 months on top and then 6 months behind it. But because there's not as much space as there was with the Hobonichi, that you could see these guys behind these ones, I decided to go ahead and put them on the side. But here I was able to put 6 months up here, and then the other insert has the other 6 months, and it just worked out best that way. Now I can also use a combination of like these Avery tabs to put like a daily on here. So I can always find exactly what day I'm on, and I can put it at the top or at the bottom. So again, I can still thumb through and not have any issues there. Now in this one, I think it only has, let me see, it only has one blank spread in the back. So that's pretty easy to find. But again, if I wanted to tab it, I could use an Avery label and not have to worry about that. So this year, I'm definitely utilizing my tabs and using a combination of things. It's not just one thing. Now these, of course, are, let me show you. They are not removable. So you just peel them up like this. And the way they work is you take the color portion and you line it up with the page, and then you stick it down. And these have like this, I don't know, it's like a perforation that you can't really see, but once you bend, they bend perfectly. If you bend them at the top and push them together and stick it together first, this will fold over on the other side of the page and it'll work perfectly. So these ones are not removable, but I like the idea that they're not removable. I didn't need these ones to be. It's just like my today tabs or my like weekly tabs that I need to move around. So that is really nice. And the last thing to be thinking about is whatever cover you're going to be using. So for 2019, I'm going to be using this Kokio A5 cover. It's the systemic cover, and I have a video on this. I don't know if it's going to be up before or after this, but it should be somewhere. And then the Jibun Techo cover. This is also by Kokio, and it's specifically made for the Jibun Techo. So the next thing you really need to pay attention to is, like, for instance, they make this a little bit wider so that you can have space for your tabs. Again, I feel like the Jibun Techo tabs that are created for this are pretty big, so there is some extra space. So the Hoban Ichi actually does fit in here. It's like 3/4 of an inch wider. If you put tabs on the side here, it wouldn't fit well in here. So that's another thing to really be thinking about. Are my tabs going to fit? These, again, are removable, which is nice. So I can push them down further if I need to, but right now they stick up and they will zip up just fine in here. No worries. In this cover, another thing to be thinking about when it comes to tabs is that this guy folds over. So you need to make sure that if you did side tabs in here, that they were going to be able to fit in there. Now these tabs are so little. Again, they're made for the passport size, but even if you used the larger ones that are meant for like the regular or standard Midori, they would still work okay in here, and they wouldn't get like bent if you put them in here. Now I can't say the same if you decided to buy the Jibun Techo tabs and put them in the Hobonichi, because I think they would stick out further. So just make sure, again, that you're aware of that, and that is why I still tell you that my favorite tabs are anything that are removable, like these Post-it tabs, because you can always move them in to make them not stick out as much if you need to. So that is one thing I need to be thinking about. The other thing is, like, if you have, like I said, a zipper cover, make sure that they're going to fit within your zipper and they don't stick out too much. Now the other nice thing about this cover is if I did have tabs on the side here, I could put them over on this side. I will show you quickly. So let me put a tab in here to show you what I'm talking about. So let's say these stuck out pretty far like that. it really wouldn't matter in this cover, especially if you put it on this side, because this has a vertical closure. So it's not going to hit up on here, which is another thing to be thinking about when you have a traveler's notebook. Remember that at some point you're going to have to worry about this elastic, but like in covers like this, you certainly don't. So you can just tab the crap out of things, which is really nice. And it's also something to think about if you have a ring bound planner, because usually they have that pop closure that comes around, so you don't have to worry about your tabs in the center as much. But that is what I'm going to be doing with tabs this year. I am hoping that I don't get crazy and get annoyed and just rip them all off. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure I won't. But I might end up, abandoning the ones that are, removable at some point, who knows. But whether you're using something that you purchase from Etsy that's custom, or you're buying these, which you can pretty much get from a lot of different shops and they're already done for you, because I'm not a big fan of my handwriting sometimes, or you just go with Post-its. I'm going to be using a combination of these throughout the year. So how are you using your tabs? Have you guys thought about, if I position things, I'm not going to be able to like thumb through, or maybe they're not going to fit in the covers that you choose, especially if you're like me and you buy covers throughout the year and maybe, the tabs worked with one system, but they're not going to work with others. That is also something to be considering. So let me know how you're using tabs and what kind of tabs you're using, because maybe I'll pick up some. No, I don't need any more tabs. Maybe. You can never have enough tabs. Maybe you can. I don't know. All right. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I hope that this was helpful. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.